College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by AT&T, mobilizing your world.
New Year's last night in Indianapolis. They don't drop a ball, they drop an Indy race car. Happy New Year, everybody. All right, Butler Bulldogs and Chris Holtmann with a scary moment coming back from that game at St. John's. With more on that, here's our Tina Servasio. Tina?
Rich, this was a traumatic experience for Butler. Chris Holtmann has now heard the flight recording, and the pilot said, pressure lost, souls on board, emergency. He said when everyone had their oxygen masks on, it was so quiet, pitch dark, and you could just see the ground getting closer. When the captain finally said pressure was back, he raced to the back of the plane, checked on his players, touched each one of them, and they were very emotional. They will get a counselor before their next flight, and an investigation is underway, but Holtmann says they are ready to play basketball today, Rich.
Thank you, Tina. Practice yesterday for the Butler Bulldogs. We told you about Martin. Tyler Weidman, though, is a load. Very strong for Butler in that front court. And the Providence Friars struggled, Doug, against Xavier. How do they fix that?
Well, I think we talked to Ed Cooley. He said, my team is not confident right now. They were upset by Boston College, who, by the way, just blew out Syracuse, and then beaten badly by Xavier. Not making open shots, but not making tough plays. And if anybody's followed Butler, Butler's a very physical basketball team. This will be a test of their mettle with the Providence Friars.
Tyler Lewis, a little pick and pop. Travis, the miss. Andrew Travis, one of the top players for Butler. Providence wants to push quick tempo. I know we're in Indianapolis. Who wins the race here?
Well, look, I think Providence needs to push tempo because they struggle to score sometimes in the half court. But this is a more offensive-minded Butler team, maybe than even last year's team that had two really good scores but struggled elsewhere. When Kellen Dunham didn't hit shots, they couldn't really score.
Baseline jumper, Emmett Holt, and that's a good sign for Providence. We talked about Holt, and the junior gets the first bucket. Maybe that is a shot of confidence for Providence.
The question for Emmett Holt, will he use those long arms and wide shoulders to score in the paint? Very good 15 to 18-foot face-up jump shooter.
Baldwin feeds Weidman. We talked about his strength, and he goes right to the glass and scores.
And the Providence guys, to a man, said Tyler Weidman's the hardest cover in the low post in this league. Really, really strong. Two undersized centers going at it here in the Big East.
That says a lot. Cartwright cuts, and his floater won't go. The tip, and the follow, and no whistle. And a nice diving stop by Keelan Martin. Up ahead to Baldwin. And Butler is up 4-2. Providence comes in at 10-4. Not only did they lose to Xavier, but it lost to Boston College. 2 consecutive road losses, a third road game. They haven't been home in a long time. Cartwright off a screen, and there's the bump by Kamar Baldwin of Butler.
We talk about 50-50 plays, and I thought Emmett Holt might have been fouled, but you know, Butler getting on the floor, making a play. And while Ed Cooley unhappy that his big guy didn't get the call, you look at Butler making those extra plays, and Tyler Lewis, you can't lose with that pass.
Spectacular pass and dunk, and Butler by 2. Providence, though, plays very well in this building. And a moving screen and a foul on the Friars. I mean, this is a tough place to play for a visiting team. But ever since Butler joined the Big East, Providence is 6-1 against Butler with wins in this building.
Well, they also had Chris Dunn as a point guard last year, Ben Ventel, very talented team. And remember, Butler's first year in the Big East, they finished in 9th place. They really struggled.
Yeah, they won just 4 games, but not the last 2 seasons. Entry pass to Weidman, kick out to Lewis. 2-man game. Weidman getting bodied there by Holt, then Weidman gets by. Holt fouls him. Ed Cooley can't believe it.
And what Ed Cooley is saying is, look, the other end, Emmett Holt got fouled. Now my guy plays defense without his hands, although Emmett Holt moved under Weidman as he went up for a shot. That's why the foul was called.
And so Weidman to the line is a 62% free throw shooter, which is a lot better than when he was a freshman, and he shot 41%.
All right, so a couple keys to the game. Personnel recognition. When Andrew Travis Travis moves to the 5. You have to recognize that when you're Providence, and then they need to rebuild their confidence. As for Butler, share the ball, don't turn the basketball over, but also they need to be a little bit more tough-minded defensively. Can't allow yourself to get punked by Providence, a team desperately in need of a victory.
Bullock thought about a 3, rises and misses badly. He's really struggled the last 4 games, shooting at 25% and 2 of 18 from beyond the arc. Lewis an entry. Travis is good with his back to the basket. And Lewis's pass through a lot of hands, and it doesn't get through. Good outlet. Jackson with the left hand. Isaiah Jackson. And it's a 2-point Butler lead. Butler has some huge wins this year. Number 8, Arizona. Number 22, Cincinnati. Then number 9, Indiana. That's why I think the St. John's loss was a surprise to a lot of people.
I think to everyone. That's only Chris Mullen's second career Big East win. They only won 1 game last year in the league.
There's that go-to shot, Travis with that running left-handed hook.
Yeah, he likes the face-up jump shot all the way out to 3, and then when he posts up, he wants to get you moving, go to his hook shot.
Cartwright avoids the pile-up. Corner 3, Holt again. Now let's see if Butler can push tempo. Tyler Lewis, the senior, the transfer from North Carolina State, runs the point. Not real big. Ball's loose, and a foul.
Now the Bulldogs trying to shake off that nasty loss to St. John's, but aren't we all trying to shake it off after New Year's Eve?
That's right. Great cathedrals in college basketball. Hinkle Fieldhouse on the campus of Butler University. Number 13, Butler and Providence.
Well, you asked how did Butler lose to St. John's. Plays like this. Tyler Lewis, the senior transfer from NC State, McDonald's All-American, and he's moving the opposite way. He passes, he's passing into traffic. That's just creating offense for PC. Providence struggling to half court. You cannot turn the ball over like that. You cannot give them free runouts when they struggle so mightily.
All right, Providence, very good defensively. They have an outstanding assist to turnover ratio. Their defensive numbers across the board are some of the best in the conference for field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and points per game. Butler on the board early and an 8-4 lead. This is Kamar Baldwin falling away. A sweet shot, the freshman out of Georgia.
And Baldwin knows he's more of a mid-range than long-range jump shooter, and smartly went back to the side that the ball screen came from and got into his sweet spot around the baseline.
He had a terrific game in the win over Indiana.
And of course, he hit the game winner to beat Northwestern.
Cartwright, Jackson out high. Rodney Bullock really doesn't have a lot of touches so far, trying to rub off the screen. And a shot clock violation on a team that wants to push tempo.
Well, they want to score in transition. Now they're going to bring in Ryan Fazekas, who Ed Cooley told me, you want to sound like a genius? When Fazekas comes in, we're running things to get him shots. But it's because they just don't have enough shot making in the half court that they want to try and score quickly, early, and then score late within their half court offense. That was obviously too late.
Travis turns down the 3. Martin, and Martin miss. Bullock with the rebound, and here's the push off the miss. Cartwright with a left hand, and it goes with contact, but no whistle.
Aaron Cartwright should know he can get in there all day against Tyler Lewis, who really struggles to defend out the floor.
Weidman back to Martin, and free throws coming up.
We talked about Baldwin, his ability. Kamar Baldwin, tremendous athlete, not really a point, not really a 2. Kind of that classic combo guard. What a nice crossovers. He comes right back to the side that the ball screen was on and takes Isaiah Jackson. Hits that mid-range pull-up.
In this day and age, you don't often hear a coach first thing out of his mouth when talking about a freshman. There's Nate Fowler checking in. Coach doesn't often say first thing about a freshman is he's a great defender. But that's what Chris Holtmann talked about when he talked about Kamar Baldwin.
Well, he knew, Chris Holtmann knew from the time he came here as an assistant to when he was the interim head coach that Butler had to get more athletic in the backcourt.
All right, this is Fazekas with the ball. That's the guy that Ed Cooley talked about. Doug, you've got him zeroed in for some threes as well. On the lob, Travish breaks it up. And Butler on the move. Lewis. And for a team looking for confidence in Providence, they've been hit in the mouth early here, 6 minutes in at Butler. How will they respond? Cartwright has to chase it down, and he's fouled. It's Baldwin. Second in the Big East in steals. A big part of Chris Holtmann's defense.
I don't know, the guy deflects the basketball.
That's his second personal. That's a
didn't love the call.
Yeah, and that's an early exit for a premier defensive player. We'll see how that affects Providence. Right now, Butler by 8. Jalen Lindsay, along with Cartwright out high. And a 3, Cartwright hits it. Kyron Cartwright, the junior out of Compton, California. And back in the glory days at Boston College, there always seemed to be some good LA flavor for Al Skinner. Ed Cooley was his assistant at Boston College. And an answer from Butler. And the lead back at 7.
Talk about Craig Smith and Jared Dudley. Craig Smith, one of the great nicknames in then Big East history, the Cookie Monster.
Fazekas, his first look, and he missed it. And the Indiana native getting his first taste as a player at Hinkle Fieldhouse and misses his first 3. Entry to Fowler.
Ready.
Nate Fowler, the sophomore. And Ed Cooley is forced to take an early timeout. Providence blown out against Xavier, down early against Butler. 18-9, number 13 Butler. A quick start here against Providence.
Watch Nate Fowler. He catches the ball. This is like out of a textbook. It's a clinic. Ball fake, take a look. Another ball fake, one dribble, and turn around. Little left-hand hook with a left-hander. What a beautiful move. And what horrendous defense inside from the Providence Friars as Khalif Young just kind of buttoned up behind, being big, but not really deflecting the shot in any way.
Let's check in with Tina Curvasio. Tina?
I was just in the Providence huddle, and Coach Cooley was telling them, you are showing no pride defensively. You're too comfortable. He's trying to build up their confidence because he was worried about their psyche coming in, Rich.
Right.
You guys are showing no effort, but be confident in showing no effort. Well, he's right, though. Khalif Young didn't do anything defensively.
Ethan Savage into the ball game for Butler, along with Avery Woodson. They both played very well at St. John's. And over Fazekas, this is Woodson, the sharpshooter transfer out of Memphis.
77 threes at Memphis. Can come in and give them some offense. We talked about the challenges for Butler coming into the year where, like, you're replacing Rose Jones, who's just a tremendous all-around competitor player. And then Kellen Dunham would they have enough offense? And by getting Savage, who transferred in after playing 3 years at George Washington, and getting Woodson, you don't just have scoring, you have experience at the collegiate level scoring.
Sean McDermott in as well for Butler. Butler a little deeper than Providence. And Chris Holtmann with this early lead, a chance to use that depth as Woodson off the bench has a couple free throws. Biggest lead of the ball game now. Butler by 11 early on here in Indianapolis. We'll see if Jalen Lindsay and Kyron Cartwright can get it going. This is Cartwright. And he hits his second bucket.
Cartwright's the only thing working right now for Providence at the offensive end, as Woodson has struggled to cover him. They took Tyler Lewis off him after an early drive as well.
Ethan Savage transfer from George Washington. This is Martin backing Cartwright into the lane and is finishing strong with the glass.
Very talented scorer, and he's now playing more of the power forward position. This is that lineup dexterity that Butler has.
Cartwright had hit his first 2 shots, but that was from great distance.
A heat check.
That's an early heat check. Woodson, and what a sequence. A missed 3 by Providence, and Woodson drains a 3 just like he did a lot at Memphis.
Well, this is a very talented offensive lineup that Butler has in the basketball game. Woodson, Savage is a guy who can score more in the mid-range. Martin playing the 4. You got Sean McDermott, who's a very good shooter, really smart basketball player, redshirt freshman, playing the small forward position.
This is a 19-7 run and a foul inside on Butler.
Well, we heard Ed Cooley say that Butler was too comfortable. They are comfy at home. Keelan Martin getting buckets and Avery Woodson doing what he does. Dogs up 2 touchdowns.
For a quick start on top of Providence, 25-11. If you take a look at the Providence jerseys, you see the DG. When Dave Gavitt was a coach at Providence, he was starting what would be an incredible legacy in college basketball, from the Big East Conference to the NCAA Tournament Chairmanship to the Dream Team. And one of those legacies is sitting next to me right now, Dan Gavitt, who's the Vice President of Basketball Championships. Your father had such a great career in basketball. For you now to be in charge of essentially the NCAA Tournament, one of the things that he had a great hand in, that has to make you pretty proud.
Yeah, it does. I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity at the NCAA and try to carry on a small legacy of what my dad and many of his colleagues did for so long.
Small? Where do you start with your father? I mean, there's so many things.
I think you start with the Big East, right? And
I think you start with Providence, then the Big East.
Okay, but the Big East, and Dan, listen, when this league had to reform, there were some questions as to could it compete at the highest level? I have my own questions. And then in one calendar year, you had Villanova, who's dominated the league, win the national championship. And then yesterday, what a great celebration for the league in Omaha in front of 18,000 people. The defending national champions beat a really tough, also top 10 team in Creighton. It feels like the Big East has reemerged from this conference realignment in strong health.
Very happy for them. They've done a great job. There's so many good coaches in the Big East. A couple of them evidenced here in this game today. And like you said, Doug, to have 2 undefeated teams play against each other yesterday, top 10 teams, was pretty incredible. And a great game on top of it.
Now, you, just like your father, a coach as well. You were an assistant coach. Dartmouth, Providence, the schools that you had stops with as far as a student and as a coach. What did you learn most from him about being a coach or an administrator that you've used in your career? Nice backdoor cut there.
Well, I think probably what I learned most from him is just to keep student athletes and their experience first and foremost in everything you do. And passion and love for the game, like Doug, and his family and his background. We've been blessed to be around the game since we were little kids, and I just love it. And try to make sure that the experience for today's players is as good as it was many years ago as well.
Dan, they've done an amazing job of redoing Hinkle Fieldhouse. It's, as Rich pointed out, a cathedral of the sport. And I do wonder, is there a way in which, whether it's Hinkle, Fog Allen, some of these great cathedrals, if the NCAA tournament could ever find it in their heart to go back to these places for those first and second rounds? I understand there are bigger places that can fill more seats and pay more bills. Is there ever a chance to get a place like Hinkle be a first and second round site?
I think there's a possibility of that, Doug. Yeah, it's been talked about by the committee over the years. Size and amenities and things like that are an important part of the experience too, but especially as it relates to the first 4, Dayton's done an unbelievable job.
Yeah.
UD Arena's been a fantastic place for the first 4, but there's been some talk about other historic places possibly having a chance to host someday, and maybe in an anniversary year we could do something special and different like that with first and second rounds.
This year it feels like it's special because the Blue Bloods are back. I know you're going out to see UCLA. They're not only talented, but they're fun to watch. Can you recall a year in which, I know Indiana lost, but Indiana, Louisville, Carolina, Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, all good in the same year?
Not so much recently. I mean, you're right. From coast to coast, we've had an unbelievable start to the college basketball season. And to have so many blue bloods, big brand names.
Great steal there. And Weidman couldn't hold it. Butler off to a A very quick start.
You know, to have all those historic, well-known brand name programs have such a great start does help to, you know, the tide raises all ships, and we've seen, you know, interest across college basketball just be at all-time highs this year because of the excellence of some of those teams you're talking about.
Providence struggling on the road against number 13 Butler. Bullock trying to get loose, and he'll get free throws, and they desperately need Rodney Bullock to get rolling. And along those lines, Doug, I mean, we were talking before the game, Dan, about some of the great games this year. Kentucky, North Carolina, UCLA, Oregon, Villanova, Notre Dame, Villanova, Creighton. For the NCAA tournament and the selection committee, you've got some marvelous games, and it's just January 1st.
Without a doubt. Like I said, you know, just a fantastic start to the season. Of course, a couple of those games on CBS. You know, the
Louisville win last night too.
Yeah, another terrific game here. Played in Indianapolis, and yeah, it's again the interest has been very, very high. Television ratings have been very high for this time of year, and it leads into now conference play, which always gets interesting right away out of the box. Some, you know, surprising results over the weekend, but conference play, when teams know each other as well as these teams do, it's a hard thing to do.
All right, I'll ask the proverbial question. College football, they have the weekly announcement of their rankings. Will we ever see that from the college basketball committee?
Something that's been discussed quite a bit. It's quite possible, very, very much possible. I wouldn't say it's
Is it more probable than not?
I'd say it's more probable than not. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but not necessarily with the frequency that the CFP does it. Just because of the complexity of, you know, the college basketball season, so many games per day, per week. So, I think it's very possible, very probable.
Keithan Savage, 3, stretches this Butler lead. Dan Gavitz, Vice President, NCAA Basketball Championships. Thanks for the visit. We'll see you in March.
Thanks, Brad.
Our home of CBS Sports. And right now, Providence and Ed Cooley trying to get on track. Tina Cervasio has more. Tina?
Now, this is not an excuse for Providence, but they are on the longest road trip of the season, and 6 days is very long for college basketball. Coach Cooley says we just need a home game. It started on the 27th when they flew out to Cincinnati for the Xavier game. Then they bussed from Cincinnati to Indianapolis. They've been here for a couple days and passed time by going to a Bulls-Pacers game and had a hard practice yesterday. Coach Cooley says, I just can't wait to get home. Rich?
All right, Tina. Right now, Butler 11 of 14 from the field. 6 of 17 is Providence. And you see the wide margin, a 17-point lead for number 13 Butler. And a rebounding foul on Keithan Savage, his first personal. Eight different Butler Bulldogs have scored in this ball game, and only 3 Providence Friars have points. And after what Ed Cooley called a very embarrassing loss to Boston College, and then a loss at Xavier by 26, to be down here is a real test of confidence, composure, whatever you want to call it.
Well, you lose both teams lost their 2 best players from last season, but then both are coming off of embarrassing defeats. And as much as Providence is on a long road trip, it's hard for college kids.
Savage! Keithan Savage, the transfer from George Washington. And this is a 20-point game.
I mean, it got out of hand in a hurry. And a little bit of this, I think you could put some of the St. John's loss on Chris Holtman. And he said, listen, I got 6 new guys. 6 out of my 11 are new. I'm still adjusting my rotation. And his substitutions of putting Savage and Woodson in, that's what triggered this run.
Kamar Baldwin, in your shot there, is back in with 2 personal fouls. He and Tyler Lewis in the backcourt. And Woodson and Savage both had 10 points on the road at St. John's. They've played well here. And Providence, in need of points, gets a free throw from Rodney Bullock, the junior who's averaging 18 a game.
But really struggling to shoot the ball over the past 4 games. 2 of 18 from 3. Now he misses 1 of 2. And as he gets into Big East play, Everyone's going to load up on that strong right hand. It becomes harder and harder to score in the half court.
Martin launching. Keelan Martin can score in bunches. He had 28 in the win over Indiana. And his three adds to a huge Butler lead.
And I give Holtman credit for kind of triggering Martin. Moved him to the power forward for a couple possessions. Now another turnover.
Lewis, Martin, and he walks. Ball got caught on his hip as he tried to shuffle it behind his back.
This is the problem with trying to have three-quarter court pressure is the back end is open. And Ed Cooley hangs his head because this was his biggest fear. The better coach the team is, the more shooters they have, fake a pass, make a pass, and while you try and extend your pressure and get some cheap points, you leave the back end open.
11-1 run, but this whole half has been one big run by Butler. And Cartwright hanging. He's been the best offensive weapon that Providence has. 9 points now.
I believe the only offensive weapon that Providence has had.
That's a good qualifier. Martin to Baldwin. And Martin had it tipped away. Cartwright got a hand on it. It stays with Butler. 15 on the shot clock. If you're just happening by, Butler's number 13 in the country. Ed Cooley and Providence had a 10-2 start in non-conference. Dropped a game at Boston College and then lost at Xavier. And they are in deep right now here in Indianapolis. Travis back in with that left hand, and a nice defensive play on the help side by Khalif Young. Cartwright down the lane, missed it, got the rebound. Cartwright back in. How about that?
He got fouled on the putback.
He plays a lot bigger than 5'11", which is where he's listed.
Brother played at Iowa.
Lewis misses the three, and Cartwright with the rebound. It's knocked out of bounds. Providence will hold the possession.
Aaron Cartwright coming in, strong left-hand driver. Watch as he gets the rebound, gets bumped here by Tyler Weideman, and he wanted the foul call.
Ed Cooley talked to us before the ball game, and he's looking for that player or that group of players that say, enough already.
He said Cartwright is a leader, which you have to have, but he sometimes can become a little bit negative towards his guys.
Bullock, and that's a great sign. A 2 from Bullock. Mired in a 4-game shooting slump. Rodney Bullock, and Providence is back within 16.
If you're Providence, the only thing in your mind should be after this under 4-minute timeout, cutting it under 10 before halftime.
Lewis feeds Travis, and it stays with Butler. Tina, you've got more on Rodney Bullock. All right, we'll check in with Tina in a moment. 4.5 left, first half. Martin off a screen, rises, it's a three, and he missed it. And Providence with the rebound, Isaiah Jackson. Cartwright. With a good offensive rebound. All of a sudden, Providence showing a little more fight.
And Cartwright's kind of taking it on his own. Hey, if nobody else wants to shoot, I'll let it fly. Playing very confidently while the rest of his bunch is trying to search for answers.
On the cut, a foul on Butler. Number 13 Butler playing like a top 20 team with a big lead, a 16-point lead at home. Butler at home and on top. Tyron Cartwright, the junior out of Southern California, trying to lead Providence back in. He's got 11, and the rest of the team has just 9.
Of course, Cartwright was going to go to Loyola Marymount. A coaching change put him back on the kind of open market, and he has been a godsend here for Ed Cooley. Of course, lost Chris Dunn to the NBA draft. The problem is that he has to play the point, and there really isn't enough secondary ball handling as they bring Malik White in. There's not a lot of confidence in playing either Malik White with him together or Malik White's confidence running the team when he's on the bench.
1 and 1 and a miss for Providence.
Those are just killers. Bullock missed a free throw. You miss the front end of a 1-and-1. And it doesn't allow you to set your defense.
Lewis runs this Butler offense. Woodson's back in. Travis loves that left-handed hook. Woodson loves the three. It's Travis with the three. Everybody is hitting for Butler. They are 14 of 19 from the field and have a 19-point lead. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, Providence searching for answers. Malik White with the ball, running the point. Jackson misses a three and a push, and it's going to send Rodney Bullock to the line. AT&T at the half is coming up. We're headed back to New York. Great day, great weekend of college basketball for sure. Adam Zucker, John Rothstein, get you up to date, up to speed. A couple other games in the Big East today as well to talk about.
Some games in the Big Ten as well, with Nebraska going in, ending the game on a 13-2 run, beating Maryland at Maryland after beating Indiana down the road here in Bloomington.
3:06 left in this first half. Rodney Bullock with a couple of free throws as Providence tries to inch closer at the break. Lewis baseline tour. Fowler misses the three. Cartwright way up for the rebound. On a trail jumper, Lindsay misses. Loose ball, and there's two players out of bounds. Officials are in there to separate players. And the first to touch, I think they may have been laying out of bounds.
Well, watch little Tyler Lewis as he gets on the ground and just starts kind of scrapping, as do the rest. Rodney Bullock on the ground as well. That was a big thing for Tyler Lewis. Lewis, of course, career didn't get off to the start that people expected as a McDonald's All-American, transferred here. But, you know, look, he follows one of the toughest, Alex Barrow, one of the toughest point guards to ever play at Butler. And that's saying a lot because this program is built on mental, emotional, physical toughness. And that's been challenged by Chris Holtmann and his staff.
Jalen Lindsay with a corner jumper, and the lead is down to 15.
Lindsay has hit some shots and shot the ball probably better than his actual level of three-point aptitude this year. And to continue to look to get him the ball in transition.
Lewis picking his way through the defense. Shot clock is down at 5. Lewis, a rolling hook, and he got it. Tyler Lewis. Cartwright back down the floor. And it's all Butler right now. Trying to bounce back from a road loss at St. John's, and of course that scary plane incident on Friday. It's been a rough 48 hours, but it hasn't shown on the court at all. Lewis jumper bangs it home. And the little point guard is leading Butler to a rout, a first half rout of Providence.
Well, and it all started with him at the defensive end, getting on the floor. Then Nate Fowler cleared a path for him to get a layup, and now he's hitting the mid-range jump shot.
Bullock goes strong to the bucket and finishes.
Rodney Bullock is going right no matter if you play him and shoot that right hand or not. It's like Manu Ginobili's going left and there's not much you can do about it. Rodney Bullock's going right.
Bullock's got 7. Cameron Cartwright has got 11, and that's just about it for Providence. And a really balanced attack by Butler. Travis feeds the post, and an offensive foul as Fowler tried to clear some space.
This is what I was talking about. Nate Fowler gets called for the foul, but watch Fowler, 51 in the white jersey. He seals in, that's called a punch, and he just kind of parts the blue sea or the black sea of the Providence defense. That's his role. He got called for a foul for displacement for that exact same post up on the last possession, but he was the reason Tyler Lewis had a layup to begin with.
Ryan Fazekas back in the ball game, straight on 3 from Alpha Diallo. Better job of offensive rebounding right now for Providence. Goes out of bounds. Shot clock was reset. But there's only 28 seconds left in what has been a nightmare of a half for Ed Cooley and the Friars of Providence College. Jalen Lindsey back in for Providence.
He's had to sit Emmett Holt with 2 personal fouls. And that's really hurt his game plan, which was to get Holt the ball and kind of exposed some of what he perceived as a weakness within Butler's stingy defense.
A little over a 2-second differential. Shot clock, game clock. Cartwright starts the offense, gets a screen. Wow, what a screen. And it's a foul. That was Lindsey who set the pick. And right now his discussion with the official. Here's a look. Is this a foul?
No.
It's not a foul.
No, he reacted to the reaction. Tony Chiazza reacted to the fact that Sean McDermott acted like he got shot, and he probably didn't see the screen coming. No one called screen. It was set late, but he wasn't moving. It's a bad call.
And a foul there on the drive by Keithan Savage with 4.8 seconds left. So not much is going Providence's way right now. I mean, Butler is only shooting 73% in the first half. Ed Cooley not happy with that last whistle. And Ryan Fazekas, whom Providence wanted to get the ball to and get the three-point shooting going, has 2 fouls now.
Well, that's not as big an issue as when Emmett Holt, a big guy, has 2 personal fouls.
You saw Badley come in for Butler.
But Butler's done a great job of sticking with Fazekas. When he first checked into the game, they switched Tyler Lewis onto him. Lewis is not a great on-ball defender, but off-ball, he did a very good job on Fazekas, so they kind of snuffed that out.
Savage stretches the lead. Butler's going to take their timeout. And we'll step aside. 5 seconds left. A dominant first half by the number 13 team in the country, Butler. Any questions about number 13 Butler and their mental state were answered early in this first half. A loss at St. John's, that incident on their team plane, scary one on the way back. And in less than 48 hours, they're back on the floor. And you got to hand it to Chris Holtman and his staff. They have this team ready, and they have been impressive in the first half.
Meanwhile, Providence, who lost to Boston College, blown out by Xavier, a team that started the season with so much hope, now they're the ones questioning themselves.
Cartwright racing it up, has time, gets it up, it's tipped. And Providence is going to head in, down by 19, number 13 Butler, trying to get their first Big East win in game 2 of this brand new season. Is up big. Chris Holtman is with our Tina Cervasio. Tina?
Coach, it seems like
Hinkle Fieldhouse and a large crowd here enjoyed that first half. Number 13 Butler, an immense lead right now, 45-26. Rich Waltz along with Doug Gottlieb. And I know it's a Sunday, it's cold here in Indianapolis. You might want to get a little popcorn and watch some basketball, but
Blue 3.
I know.
Blue 3's back today.
I know he is back.
Back off the ACL.
ACL injury. What about this first half? Did you see this coming?
No, honestly, no. Like, look, these are both 2 hungry teams, especially Butler coming off the St. John's loss and Providence coming off the blowout loss to Xavier, but I did not see this evisceration. Obviously, Providence struggling to shoot the basketball, but it's been the efficiency of Butler offensively, moving the basketball, making the extra pass, taking the right shot, and then you look at their bench. I thought the game changed when the backcourt changed for Butler. When Keithan Savage and Avery Woodson came in, that's when Butler downshifted and just boat raced Providence.
Now, we were told the halftime entertainment did not show up.
Yeah.
And so this is essentially what the crowd here was.
Don't get old.
Was treated
Don't get old. Don't get old. Well, Don't get old, kids.
That's good defense, though.
It is really good defense. Look, he's got his belly on the ball, and another missed shot. Oh, don't leave it short. The thing is, all the kids in Indiana can shoot, and apparently that one can play some defense.
All the kids from Butler can shoot. I mean, what a first half. Butler 73%, 16 of 22 from the field. And here goes the second half. What do you expect was going on in each locker room?
Well, obviously in Providence, like, hey, fellas, we're flying home later. Like, do you want this to be the most miserable flight possible? And for Butler, more of the same. I like that Chris Holtman said, hey, we still need to defend better, rebound better. That was not a perfect first half.
Keelan Martin launches late in the shot clock. Weidman runs it down. Martin down the lane, and he was stripped to the ball. Providence with their first possession. Let's see if they can turn it around.
Not a good possession for Butler there offensively. Keelan Martin going one-on-one and shooting over contested hand.
Can they get Rodney Bullock going? Bullock averaging 18 a game. This is Lindsay. They'd like to see him get hot as well, and he misses a three. It's 1 of 11 from distance.
But see, that's a hard shot. Whatever you think of Tyler Lewis defensively, like taking a jab step jump shot.
Martin, and he missed the flush.
Taking a contested jump shot in your first possession on your second pass, like that's not what you're working for.
Tyron Cartwright, a drive, and he's fouled. Cartwright, I guess the lone shining moment offensively with 11 first half points. Let's check in with Tina Servasio. Tina?
Ed Cooley told me that their first half defense was horrific, and they're going to change up the ball screen defense because he feels Butler's killing them there. He said, I challenged the heck out of my team at halftime in the locker room because they're just not playing with pride. Cooley also told me this is the worst he's ever seen one of his teams play. Those are pretty strong words.
They are, Tina. And Doug, he talked about the Boston College loss in terms of one of the most embarrassing losses in his career.
And part of that comes from personal pride, a long-time Boston College assistant, but also Boston College, that is not a strong club. But obviously, they're a little bit better than we thought, beating Syracuse, beating Auburn since that game, but or before that game was the Auburn win. But at some point, you have to challenge the team. Mr. Nice Guy has to go away, and I think it went away at the half, even if Ed Cooley is one of the nicest guys in the sport.
Weidman down low, put it on the floor. Travis picked it up. Martin. Another late shot clock for Butler early here in the second half. Travis got it. No. Offensive foul.
And Kyron Cartwright has, you mentioned the lone offensive star, but how about stepping in, taking that charge as well? Travis fakes this little handoff, and Cartwright paying attention to the ball.
And clearly outside of the circle.
Outside the circle, feet are planted. It's a pretty easy call.
You see Travis immediately pointed to the circle. And players have grown accustomed to that now.
He just looked at me. He's like, "Was that a charge?" That was a charge.
That was a charge.
Yes.
Providence.
And, he's from Rhode Island. He has not played well against Providence. They didn't offer him a scholarship, offered him to walk on. But a game in which he's told everyone around him, "I'd really like to play well against BC."
His parents are here, a lot of family here. Cartwright shot blocked, got it, lobs it in, and that is an offensive foul. A little too strong on the inside. That was Khalif Young, the freshman, 6'9", 250.
Well, they've tried here recently to play Khalif Young and Emmett Holt together to get them more length, better rebounding. The problem with Young has been the defensive end. High school players coming to college as freshmen, as you pointed out, we're talking about Butler freshmen. Some guys, it takes them a while to understand how hard you have to play.
The reach might have been Bullock, and it was. And free throws coming for Butler.
Travis is they wanted him to be their Matt Howard. Remember, 2 Final Four teams, Matt Howard, who started his career as an undersized center, and then by the end of his career became a very viable weapon as a jump shooter.
Well, he's shooting 46% from distance.
No, he's been a better shooter early on than Howard was, maybe even late. He's never been the low post kind of efficient scorer around the basket that Howard was. He's developed kind of that clever hook shot game and the ability to score over length or around length.
The bar is set very high here at Butler, isn't it?
Oh, I mean Matt Howard, three-time academic All-American, as well as a guy who played in 2 Final Fours. I mean, it's hard for people to understand. They've had an incredible decade of success, but in stepping up in weight class from the Horizon League to the Atlantic 10 to the new Big East, like now you're playing against NBA caliber players, national championship caliber teams, night in, night out.
And they've done it the last 2 years. Holt is fouled, and he'll go to the line. Providence trying to inch their way back in. I mean, you look at Butler's last year, 22 wins. They won a first-round NCAA tournament game. They were 4th in the Big East Conference.
But you have the expectations of Brad Stevens' incredible run. You have a beautiful cathedral of the sport arena. You don't have a practice facility. Now you're still, even if as successful as you are, you're not IU or Purdue, even in Indianapolis. Now you're probably the 3rd most relevant name on the local newscast in terms of recruiting. It's hard to get the top kids in state with Indiana, Kentucky, just around the corner. Ohio State has always recruited Indiana well.
And yet here they are, number 13 in the country.
A very good team. They've done an excellent job. They're starting to get some depth in recruiting.
Travis on the inside look for Weidman. Butler wants a bucket on interference. They're going to have to settle for free throws. Jalen Lindsey, second personal for Providence.
Much Weidman. This is called scoring with angles. Boy, that was close. Weidman does a really good job of getting such deep post position that he doesn't have to make a move when he catches, just goes straight up.
He had 20, a career high at St. John's, and I think he might be one of the X factors moving forward into January, February.
There's no question. You look back to the NCAA tournament last year against Texas Tech. He had a perfect game, didn't miss a shot. He knows who he is, what he is, and plays well within his role.
Lead is back to 19, 3 minutes in. Second half, a dominant first half by the number 13 Butler Bulldogs. Game 2 for both here in the Big East Conference. And Providence trying to shake off a couple of losses on the road. Cartwright has a free throw coming. Aaron Cartwright shot in a 3-point play.
Providence has gotten into their flex offense as Kyron Cartwright curls off that screen, and only Tyler Lewis is in the way, and he can just do nothing to affect the play. Cartwright smartly jumps to the side to avoid the charge, and Lewis fouls him.
You see a 15.5 rebound game for a guy that checks in at 5'11", 185. He misses a free throw. The lead is 17 for Butler. Oh, pick, roll, and then thunderous dunk from Weidman. Travis with the steal. And Butler on a bit of a run right now. Lewis back to Travis, left hand, no. With a good pass, stolen there by Lindsey. Holt trailing. Cartwright sets up Bullock for 3. Oh, he's still struggling to get it rolling from outside. I think Bullock's shooting slump seems to have trailed into this game.
They talked about ball screen defense. Khalif Wyatt too late getting there and no help on the backside. That's just awful ball screen defense all around. Jalen Lindsey not in help, plus the spacing of Butler makes it very difficult to cover.
Speaking of difficult, 1 of 12 from beyond the arc is Providence in this basketball game. And an odd shot there from Martin.
Martin's gotten a little thirsty. You go at the half, you're up 20, guys know how many points they have. He's taking a couple of questionable shots.
Cartwright, he continues to go to the bucket. He continues to get fouled. And he's having a big ball game here.
And he feels like nobody can guard him. The problem is they can't guard Butler collectively. Dogs still up 17.
Number 13 Butler, impressive second half, big lead over Providence.
Hardest thing to guard, Rich, in college basketball is the transition ball screen. Here it is from Butler as Weidman sets the screen. Freeze right there. He's going to roll to the basket. All right, so in the problems for Providence, 1, 2, 3. All right, first problem, Khalif Wyatt doesn't hedge out. You have to guard this backside lift, so Emmett Holt has to provide help. Nobody provides help, and they get the wide open dunk for the basket. It's first on Khalif Wyatt because he allowed the point guard to turn the corner and open up the defense. Then he's late getting there. Then it's Emmett Holt, who wasn't over and helped. That's collective defense, but the transition ball screen is what everybody runs, and it's very difficult to defend.
Cartwright looking for a three-point play. And he's got it for Providence, but the lead is still immense for number 13, Butler. And that bench that played so well at St. John's for Butler is back in. As Keithan Savage, along with Avery Woodson, in for Butler. Speaking of Butler, Tina Servasio was in that Butler huddle. What did you hear, Tina?
Rich, Coach Holtman said that just because we're up, this is not going to be easy. I want you to play intelligent, play with passion.
Well, right now, they're playing with a big lead. That's not good enough for Chris Holtman, though. Holtman obviously would like to see him finish strong.
But this was the lineup that really provided them the boost in the first half. Savage and Woodson, the veterans, the transfers, Woodson from Memphis, Savage from George Washington, both can score in different ways. They came in and gave them a boost in the first half. Run a little flex on the inbounds. Providence says, well, we guard this every day in practice.
This is Woodson, three-point shooter from Memphis. And this is Savage. Martin's dumped down, and Weidman. Good movement, good finish. And Butler's lead is built back to 18.
Well, Weidman is just abusing the young Wyatt inside. Khalif Young, excuse me, inside.
Zekas back in the ball game for Providence. Bullock missed the runner. Martin the rebound. Here comes Butler on the move. And Chris Holtman, the intended receiver.
Providence basketball.
Keep an eye inside this. Just step in, post up, way too easy. Weidman is just abusing the freshman, Khalif Young.
6'8", 240 is Tyler Weidman.
And he's probably 6'7", but he has long arms, so he'll play longer and taller than he is. But this is just an experienced player going against an inexperienced player, as Khalif Young's getting a great on-the-job training.
Cartwright again for Providence. 20 points now for Kyron Cartwright, who averages just 8.5 a game.
Cartwright, silly to foul there because Weidman actually, he didn't play good defense on the last possession helping out on Cartwright, and he asked out of the game. If you're Kyron Cartwright, pay attention, don't foul, and then attack Weidman again.
First personal from Cartwright. About 6 minutes in, second half. And Butler, 51-35 lead. And it's been double digits seemingly from the start. And a foul. Holt goes up. And that's going to send Martin to the line.
This is a great little play. You think it's going to be a ball screen for Keelan Martin on the side. And then watch. Yeah, fake the ball screen, we go away, and all it is an ISO. But instead of simply throwing him the ball in an isolation situation, you're throwing him the basketball, and Nate Fowler smartly puts his hand up, his fist up, and everyone in basketball knows that to be a ball screen.
Let's check back in with Tina. Tina?
Well, Keelan Martin, it's in his genes and his upbringing, how well he plays basketball. Both his parents were great players. Christy Keelan's mother played in the 91-92 Western Kentucky team that went to the national championship game, and his father, Kenneth, played on the Division II national championship team, Kentucky Wesleyan. They are no nonsense. They taught him how to play the game. They wanted him not to be just a big, but they focused on his ball movement, and they also gave him some pretty tough critiques after some of his tough games. But he takes it, and he improves from it, guys.
And Tina, he's over 1,000 career points now here at Butler. He passed that early in the game. Bullock a 3, and he rattles one home, and a timeout for Providence.
Timeout, Providence.
So they've been waiting for Rodney Bullock to get rolling. Bullock hits a 3. Providence trying to hang in there on the road against number 13, Butler. Butler's up big. Let's check in with Tina Servasio. Tina?
Well, we know where Andrew Travis gets his height, and that would be from his dad, Carl, at 6'7". He played at Penn State alongside his wife and Andrew's mom, Mary Alice. Now, your claim to fame, Carl, is you played not only at Penn State, but with the Washington Generals, which means you're on the road with the Harlem Globetrotters. You have to have some good stories. Can you tell us?
Well, it was a little easier because we didn't have to win and we still got paid. So these guys are under a lot more pressure here getting W's in the Big East. So.
Now, you're from Rhode Island, right near Providence, and when you took Andrew to his first Globetrotters game, what was his reaction when he realized that's where you were?
Well, we actually had some great seats for that game, and I got him a chance to meet the Clown Prince Showbiz that day. And after, when we were driving back home, Andrew was going through the magazine, the program, and he actually looked at me and he goes, "Dad, you really didn't play against Showbiz." So you know your place in the universe when your kid says that, you know.
He was impressed. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your road trip.
Thank you.
Rich?
All right, thank you, Tina. Travis, how about that? On cue, after mom and dad get a visit, Andrew Travis gets a three-point play opportunity.
As good a shooter as he is, look at, again, inside, Nate Fowler kind of clearing out space by posting up. Great teamwork, but Travis is the lone survivor of the 2013 recruiting class. Remember, they went through turmoil and a coaching change, and Rene Castro, Nolan Berry, Elijah Brown, who's become a star at New Mexico, all left. He's kind of the last of the Mohicans. But it's incredibly important that he has a big-time year. One, because of that recruiting. You don't want to have an empty recruiting class, but two, because of his versatility at both ends.
Bullock, a spinning jumper. How cool is it, though, to have a father who played not only at Penn State, but also for the famed Washington Generals?
And the Generals don't play the Trotters anymore.
No, their last game, sadly, was in 2015. And I know, Doug, growing up, one of your idols was the immortal Red Klotz, who was the leader of the Generals, and maybe the last man to ever attempt a set shot in organized basketball. (56-40), number 13 Butler on top. Providence, a miserable first half. A few signs of life here in the second half. Cartwright bangs home another 3. Boy, how about this? Kyron Cartwright's got 23 in the ball game, and Providence is a little closer. It's a 13-point game. Good block, great seal, and that was Khalif Young trailing the play. Cartwright back to Young. It's broken up and it stays with Providence.
Tremendous block. I mean, you can see why there are signs there of Khalif Young. They know he's going to be a player. And the timing of that block shot, Ed Cooley likes his talent and is playing him probably more than his execution might deserve, knowing that it'll pay off not just at the end of this season, but in years to come. And frankly, Providence was built to have Ben Bento on this team. You add Ben Bento to this team, and it's a top 25 club.
Cartwright rises. Oh, man, 26. Kyron Cartwright, the junior, out of Compton, California. And look at this. Providence is halfway there. They're down 10. And it's been Cartwright and his 26 points that has done the damage.
So much better than Young. Look at how Young is much more active defensively.
Fowler's miss, and a foul, and a timeout. Kyron Cartwright, red hot right now, a dozen in the second half, and a 10-point Butler lead. Sports. Doug Gottlieb, he checked for the Big East.
Well, Nova looking ever the favorite to win the league and compete for national championship again. The 4 teams ranked. Xavier, a couple times they stubbed their toe in the non-conference. Creighton and Villanova undefeated at a non-conference, going to help the overall RPI of the league. And Xavier has gotten things together after losing to Colorado. They seem to have figured some things out.
Speaking of heat check, that guy right now is single-handedly keeping Providence in the gym with 26 points, 56-46, a career high, way over his per-game average this season.
For Tony Thomas at Compton High School, and his dad, Anthony, worked for the Parks and Rec department in the city of Compton. He was his first AAU coach. We mentioned he was going to play for LMU, Loyola Marymount. Max Good was fired, and he got out of his letter. And boy, has he been an important part of this roster, and none more so than today when he has physically, literally carried Providence through an absolutely atrocious first half. And then his teammates have picked up their defense in the second half. He's continued on.
Nate Fowler hits 2 free throws and then checks out of the game. This is Cartwright, a couple of ball screens. And a drive by Holt. He missed the shot and then fouled on the rebound. Emmett Holt has had a frustrating ball game for sure. That's his 4th personal foul. He's been in foul trouble from the very start. 4 points and 6 rebounds.
I mean, that's a play that doesn't make sense. He gets the matchup he wants. He drives to the basket. You don't make the shot. Don't compound it by foul. Not only do you compound a foul and get his 4th personal foul, but now you're giving free points to Keelan Martin. Make them earn their points.
Martin is an 84% free throw shooter. And so those points do feel quite inexpensive, don't they? Free, if that's the way you want to say it.
One shot, going straight.
And one more for Martin.
Planek kept coming in for Providence. Ed Cooley searching deep on the bench for answers.
Planek, the junior, out of Oak Park, Illinois, has not seen a lot of time this year. Cartwright, that may be a little too high on the difficulty meter. But Providence is searching for offense, searching for answers. You heard Tino Servasio's report earlier in the first half. Ed Cooley telling us he's trying to balance how do you give a team confidence, yet kick them in the rear and light a fire. For a head coach, it's not an easy, cut and dried formula.
That's a tough little stretch there for Planek. He checks in off the game, just takes off the sweats. First time he gets the ball, he gets fouled, and takes a free throw at Hinkle Fieldhouse.
Misses the front end. Now Travis against Planek. Good defense. And a turnover for Butler. Chris Holtman's 3rd year. Remember, he took over for Brandon Miller in that 14 season. He had a really nice run at Gardner-Webb, which started his Division I head coaching career. In the last 2 years, 2 NCAA tournaments. Fazekas on the move, and Fazekas off the glass. Ryan Fazekas grew up here in Indiana, came to games here at Butler, at Hinkle Fieldhouse, never played here, even though he played in 2 state championship games and won a state championship, which obviously here in Indiana is really special. And a baseline jumper off the bench, Keithan Savage. Cartwright rises. Weidman with the rebound. Butler on the move. Savage in the lane. And free throws on the way.
We mentioned Keithan Savage. He's a paint touch guy, meaning he's at his best when he's getting in there 15 feet from the basket, creating for himself or for others. Of course, he came over after there was an investigation at George Washington, and ultimately a coaching change made there, but he had already left GW. Because of the coaching change, he got to play instead of a sit one, play one. And Savage, I think, he just brings such offensive pop for them off of the bench. Hasn't played out as such so far this season, but I think that Chris Holtman's discovering that this guy can score in this role.
Holtman that last time out, according to Tina Servasio, challenging Savage defensively. And right now, Butler lead at 14. Providence got it down to 10. Young missing with a wild left hand. And here comes Butler back down the floor. Very unselfish. Woodson misses a three. And Providence on the move. Cartwright leads the break. Number 13, Butler, 12-point lead over Providence, 65-53. Happy New Year here in the Big East. 7.5 minutes left in this one. We do apologize for the technical difficulties that we've had here from Hinkle Fieldhouse. Coming up next, out to San Diego State, New Mexico, and the Aztecs of San Diego State, Tulane, and number 23, Cincinnati. After that, on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Let's check in with our Tina Servasio. Tina?
Chris Holtman has been challenging Butler defensively in their last 2 timeouts. Now, in this timeout, he was emphatically pointing towards the Providence basket, and he was saying, down there is where we're going to win the game. He started off by saying, hey, they're making shots now. We need to weather this and make it work. Focusing on the defense, guys.
All right, thank you, Tina. Largest lead by Butler was 22 points, and they held that margin for a long time.
So Tyler Weideman had to ask out of the game. The Big Cat got out of gas, and they've struggled on the inside since he's been out.
Savage misses, offside rebound to Rodney Bullock. Bullock has 10 here in the second half, so he has started to feel it and get it rolling. And obviously the 26 points from Kyron Cartwright has fueled Providence's run to get this close, within 12, and Bullock, they're way off from the right wing.
They ran a play that was for Rodney Bullock, but just because you run the play doesn't mean that you, one, have to shoot the ball, and two, Khalif Young was actually wide open. I'd get the ball inside Weidman.
Here comes Weidman to the top of the key. A little high-low, Travis kick out. Baldwin is playing with 4 fouls. Now Martin a floater. And Fazekas has the rebound. Now Bullock. And from the corner, banging home, Jalen Lindsey. It's a 3. And look at this. It's single digits now. Providence is within 9. Down by as many as 22, and a turnover. And here come the Friars. Lindsey again, and that's an air ball. Baldwin driving. Big stop. And with a left hand, Kamar Baldwin pushes the lead back to 11.
We had people grabbing their coats. They're up 22. Colts, you got to win down the street. I think people are grabbing their coats going home. It's Sunday dinner around the fire. So they forgot to tell Providence.
Not yet. Bullock. Lindsey, step back, a 3.
He got fouled.
No whistle. Baldwin again. Travis. Such a variety of moves.
But a lot of that is Khalif Young not doing much anything defensively, allowing guys to get into their game to work on their post moves. Just too comfortable.
So the lead all of a sudden back to 13. Young fouled. That was Baldwin defensively.
First, what a beautiful drive from the freshman, Kamar Baldwin. sticks his nose in and gets no help from anyone else. Tyron Cartwright. And this is what I mean. Watch Cleve Young. He's got his hands down. He's playing defense, but not especially aggressive. Just too easy for a skilled big like Andrew Travis.
Kamar Baldwin has fouled out 6 points, but his worth to this Butler team, not only points, but defense. Second in the Big East in steals. Andrew Travis comes out as well. And a couple of free throws, the first of which bangs off the front from Khalif Young.
Khalif Young should cut up this tape and save it, and in 2 years turn it back on, and he'll be amazed at the little things that he didn't do, because he's got a ton of talent. He'll be a better free throw shooter, he'll be in better shape, he'll be a better defender, and he'll take advantage of so many of these scoring opportunities, which I think sometimes fatigue. Look at that, that's a quality show defensively from the freshman.
Providence, a miserable day from the field and the free throw line. They are 6 of 16 from the line. Hard to win a game in this conference to begin with, especially when you shoot that poorly from both spots. That's a three, and that's Nate Fowler. Providence got within single digits, and that's about it.
Well, it's just beautiful basketball, and when Nate Fowler, who is very good at posting up and creating space, he's also an excellent step-out, face-up perimeter shooter. So when you have a center who on that possession was guarded by a freshman who already struggles to guard out in the perimeter and now has to chase a shooter, it's nearly impossible. Butler inverting their offense, bringing their bigs outside, makes them more difficult offensively to manage.
Fowler is 5 of 6 from beyond the arc for Butler this year. And Tyler Lewis draws a foul out near the timeline. Jalen Lindsay, his 5th personal.
Ed Cooley is apoplectic over that last call. I mean,
it was as close as 9 about a minute and a half ago. It's back to 16.
They've also shot 3 air balls.
Yes.
And 2 other badly contested shots after the made 3 from Jalen Lindsay.
Well, this looks more like the Butler that ran through the non-conference with huge wins over Arizona, Cincinnati, Indiana, road win at Utah. They were 11-1 when they stepped onto the court at Carnesecca against St. John's and lost that game. They actually had a 10-point lead halfway through the second half and a 5-point lead in the last 2 minutes that they lost. A big win for Chris Mullen and St. John's. But this is more like it. This is more like the team that entered the week ranked number 13 in the country.
Chris
Holtman and the Bulldogs seemingly back in control. TNT game summary. You start with the 3-point shooting. And right now, number 13 Butler has a sizable lead.
Well, it's been impressive what Butler's been able to do shooting the basketball, but look at those bench points. Some of that is Providence is not a deep team. Some of it, though, is the Keithan Savages of the world, the Avery Woodsons coming in, making shots, and helping Andrew Travis and Tyler Lewis get their offensive game together. It was like a highlight film watching them in the first half.
6 different Bulldogs have hit threes, but the most important Bulldog, good to see, is back.
That's Blue 3. That Blue 3 tore his ACL. Yes, Dogs have their ACL. First game back. And I got a chance to spend some time with Blue 3 before the game. And yes, he does snore and the flatulence of Bulldogs. If you have Bulldogs, you know they have those issues. But he gets super fired up for these games. Barks at the opponent. Loves all the attention from the kids.
And the good news is, Doug, veterinary medicine has come so far. And now doctors are able to get mascots back onto the court or the playing field a lot quicker than they used to.
Yeah, there's no truth to the rumor that they sent him down to Dr. James Andrews to get that surgery done.
Well, that wouldn't surprise.
Blue 3 is that important.
I think Richard Stedman in Denver is the knee guy, so I think maybe they would send him there. All right, Butler in control with the ball, seemingly on their way to their first Big East win to even the record at 1-1. Want to cut Woodson. Chris Holtman told us that Avery Woodson will be a large factor come January, February, and March. The transfer from Memphis. Fazekas rises and misses the 3. Travis, great save. Somehow he knew Tyler Lewis was there in the corner.
That's one of those, it better work. You're going to throw it underneath your own basket, it better work.
Under 3 minutes. Got to get it off. He does. And it's a shot clock violation.
It's one of those shots that you lean over to the scorekeeper and say, that wasn't a shot attempt. That was a pass.
I hope you had a chance, if you're watching this, to from the very start to hear Tina's report, Tina Servasio, about Chris Holtman and how he reacted and how he handled the very scary incident on the team plane when it lost pressure and had to make a rapid descent. And Tina very detailed in the description of Holtman shaken, his team shaken, Holtman going back to the back of the plane when the plane finally got pressure and stabilized at 10,000 feet.
The oxygen mask came down.
Yeah, and he said he wanted to put his hand on each player's shoulder just to check and make sure, because you have young athletes, some who haven't done a lot of flying. And so to see this team come out and play like this, react to this, coming off the loss at St. John's and then that scary incident and situation is very impressive.
It was interesting. They stopped in Pittsburgh. The plane ended up descending and landing in Pittsburgh, and they decided smartly to bus home the next day. But they met in a conference room, and he said we spent about 15 minutes talking about it. And then we threw on the game tape at St. John's and had a brutal film session to get their minds off of it. So everybody has a different way, but I'm with you. I respect the way in which he handled a very difficult situation. You become a father figure automatically, but even more so in a situation like that.
Diallo trying to save it. And right now Butler with a minute and a half left and a big lead on their way to a home win. A 12-2 record. A 1-1 start.
This place is going to be on fire Wednesday night. Number 1 ranked, undefeated, defending national champions Villanova coming in to take on the Bulldogs.
Martin misses, gets the follow and the putback. Keelan Martin stretches Butler's lead to 77-59. There are very few nights off in the Big East Conference, and for both of these teams, from here on out, it seemingly just gets tougher and tougher.
Well, it's tough when you give up 72% field goal shooting the first half. That's what Butler did. They're still up 18.
Chris Holtman in his last 2 years has gone to the NCAA tournament both seasons. And this year, right now, at number 13 in the country. Doug, you talked about the Villanova game. But, I mean, look at down that list. You also got number 17, Xavier looming. Marquette seemingly improved.
Yep.
Seton Hall awaits before January escapes.
This place is spectacular, and it's going to get to see Villanova and Xavier here in the next week and a half.
That's pretty cool.
If you have a college basketball fieldhouse, gym, arena bucket list, and Hinkle isn't on it, then you don't have the right bucket list. And they've redone it, and in spectacular fashion. I mean, really, it has all the same sightline. Everything's the same, only just cleaner, brand new seats, obviously great video board, sound system way better. Locker rooms are nice, obviously, but I mean, it feels like you're going both back in time and into a new arena all at the same time.
And if you do come to Hinkle Fieldhouse, get here a little early, not only walk through it, but in the concourse, there's a great timeline of Indiana basketball history that's tied to this building. Obviously, Hoosiers, this was the site not only for that great scene in Hoosiers, the championship game. That The championship game in which the movie was based on actually was played
Highland High School
in this building.
Right. Bobby Plump.
1 minute to go.
So a minute left.
Picket fence. Don't get caught watching the paint dry.
Diallo, and he's fouled. They played, they've played the state championship, the famed Indiana State High School Championships in a lot of different places. Assembly Hall at Indiana for a while, but a lot of years here. The last year at 1971, and then Market Square, home of the Pacers back then, and then it moved into Conseco Fieldhouse, which is now Bankers Life Fieldhouse.
Which I know you're heading over to see or Tina's heading over to see the Pacers game afterwards. Great, just a great hoop sports weekend in Indianapolis. I had Louisville, Indiana on CBS yesterday, this game, and
Colts.
Purdue playing about an hour down the road. But Indiana basketball doesn't do the singular state championship the way they used to. They should, and play it here. I mean, how amazing is that?
In throwback uniforms.
No, you don't want the.
All right.
Let's not go crazy.
Although the Pacers do come out in those throwbacks, right? The Hickory High School look. Final half minute in what is looking like a really nice bounce back win for Butler, coming off the loss at St. John's. And Lewis will hold it and run some clock. And the number 13 Butler Bulldogs, from start to finish, dominated this basketball game. They will go to 12-2. Chris Holtman gets ready for Villanova, and Providence looks for answers.
Holtman is a tremendous coach, and while he continues to tinker with his lineups and figure out how these 6 new players fit in, Butler looks every bit the part of a Big East contender after stubbing their toe in Queens early in the week.
So a big win for the Bulldogs, for Doug Gottlieb, Tina Servasio, our entire crew. I'm Rich Waltz. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Butler came out hot and never cooled down. And the Bulldogs race to the win over Providence. After the break, we'll send you to Adam Zucker and John Rothstein in New York. Goodbye from Indianapolis.